first practice Buddhism. First practice the general Dharma, because Vajrayana Buddhism doesn't have any life or any purpose or any context outside of that. It is merely a particular set of skillful practices and approaches that were presented by the Buddha and other Buddhas to facilitate swift practice of the Mahayana Buddhist path. So it is no reality outside of Buddhism, in particular outside of the Mahayana, the great vehicle, meaning the great vehicle being that teaching given by the Buddha, in which one aims not just for one's own enlightenment, one's own liberation from suffering, but to become a Buddha for the sake of others. And therefore it's taught that one can achieve that aim by one of two means: a gradual, slow, gentle means, practicing the common Mahayana way, or a very swift and skillful means, practicing the Vajrayana way. The Vajrayana way being that taught in the Tantras by the Buddhas, rather than in the common teachings of the sutras. So therefore, to put it in a formal way, one has already entered the Buddhist path, symbolized by taking refuge in the three jewels. One has also entered the Mahayana path by making the Bodhisattva vow. At such a point, one is, if one wishes to be, potential practitioner of the Vajrayana. But then one requires to make a connection with the Vajrayana teachings. And that connection is not forged through simply reading books or translations or anything like that, or watching videos, in fact, either, although you've got to hear about things somewhere. But by meeting people who really practice Vajrayana and really have some experience and some mastery in the teachings. In short, what one would call in Tibetan a lama, a teacher. And that's not a title for a monk, and many people nowadays have those titles but are not really Vajrayana teachers, because a Vajrayana teacher is somebody who possesses the transmission of the lineage, the lineage of the teachings they've received, they've mastered those teachings, they keep the vows, they're authorized by their own masters to teach, and so on and so forth. Then from them one can receive the essential connections with the Vajrayana, which take place through the rituals known as initiations or empowerments and transmissions and guided instructions and so on. And then one can practice Vajrayana. But you see, why would one be doing that? Because one has already decided the Buddhist path is for one, is the path one wants to follow in life, and one has at least some kind of inspiration from the Mahayana ideal. It's not that you are fully enlightened, compassionate bodhisattva or anything like that. It's not that you need to have kind of transcended all kinds of levels, passed any tests. If we're inspired by the Mahayana, we're just inspired by the Mahayana. We may, in every other respect up to now, still be kind of beset by neurotic problems, by delusions. But if somehow the spark of interest and aspiration and enthusiasm in the Mahayana has been sparked off, we've entered it. Formally, that's expressed as the Bodhisattva vow. So somebody who's done that and is trying to study and practice the Dharma properly with good teachers, they will then go on to meet Vajrayana teachers probably. And with them they'll make a proper entrance into the path. Then within the Vajrayana there's all kinds of different systems of practice, of meditation practice, different levels of seriousness of practice, different commitments, and so on and so forth. But you can learn about them as you go along. But my crucial point is this, in a way, to come back to the starting point, Vajrayana is just Buddhism. So make sure you like Buddhism. If you like Buddhism, you think it's for you, then you enter it. You might then enter the Mahayana. You might be enthused by the Mahayana. Okay, if you are, then you're ready for Vajrayana. But you need to get a very good grounding in the fundamental teachings of the Dharma. For instance, one point would be, you need to take seriously the Buddhist teachings on selflessness, on emptiness. Otherwise, when you encounter, and as the philosophical teachings of Buddhism, the teachings about the relationship between external appearances and the mind as their basis. And particularly the teaching of the Madhyamaka, the middle way, which shows that while cause and effect are valid, in a way, they operate in this world, there is no abiding self. And moreover, there's no abiding God or creator. There's no external supervisor out there. And you particularly need to be grounded in this view, to practice Vajrayana effectively, because otherwise you imagine that the Buddhist deities with which Vajrayana is kind of populated, so to speak, as taught in the Tantras, and used as meditation objects, you'll imagine they're real beings. You may imagine they're real external beings. You imagine even they're something like a god. But they're not. They're simply the reflections of Buddha nature through which you train to recognize your own Buddha nature. In other words, to put it in slightly more startling language, you need to be a good atheist to practice Vajrayana properly. That is, a good non-theist. Otherwise, you're just, you're going to end up as some kind of very strange polytheist, believing that the deities are real entities. So, you're Buddhist, you're taking refuge. You're Mahayanist, you're making a bodhisattva vow. You have the right philosophical outlook through understanding the teaching of emptiness. You meet qualified Vajrayana masters, you receive initiations, away you go.